The Artemis II moon photos have been everywhere this week. You've probably already scrolled through most of them. The Earthset, the eclipse, the Earthrise. You probably said something like, wow, that's incredible, and kept scrolling. Maybe you shared one on your story. Maybe you saved a couple. And yeah, they are incredible. These are the first images taken by humans near the moon since Apollo 17 in December 1972, over 53 years ago. 4 astronauts aboard the Orion spacecraft flew within 4,067 miles of the lunar surface on April 6th, breaking the record for the farthest humans have ever traveled from Earth. And during a 7-hour observation window, they shot thousands of photographs that are now trickling back to Earth. But here's what bugs me. Most of the coverage just shows you the images and moves on. Nobody's zooming in. Nobody's pointing out the stuff that makes these photos genuinely different from anything we've ever gotten from space. And some of the best details are hiding in plain sight. So that's what this video is. 7 things I noticed in the Artemis II photos that you almost certainly missed. Some of them are scientific, some are technical. One of them made me unexpectedly emotional. And the first one involves tiny bright dots that aren't what you think they are. Let's go. Number 1. The dead pixels that prove space is trying to kill you. Pull up the eclipse photos from the Artemis II flyby. The ones where the moon is this massive dark circle blocking the sun, with the corona glowing around the edges. Gorgeous shot. Nearly 54 minutes of totality, which makes every solar eclipse you've ever seen from Earth look like a camera flash by comparison. But zoom in on the dark disk of the moon itself. See those tiny bright spots scattered across the surface. Your first instinct is to think they're stars showing through somehow, or maybe reflections. They're not. Those are dead pixels on the camera sensor. And they're dead because the crew is floating outside of Earth's magnetosphere, getting hammered by cosmic radiation that normally never reaches us on the ground. High-energy particles are slamming into the Nikon D5 sensor and permanently frying individual pixels. Every single bright speck on that dark lunar disk is basically a tiny scar from space radiation. So you're looking at an eclipse photo, but you're also looking at physical evidence of how hostile the environment is outside Earth's protection. The crew is absorbing that same radiation. The cameras are just showing you the receipts. Number 2, the invisible Earth. Same eclipse photo. Look at the left edge of the dark moon. There is a faint glow there, almost making the moon look like a very subtle crescent, even though the sun is behind it. That glow is called Earthshine. It is sunlight hitting the Earth, bouncing off our oceans and clouds and ice caps, traveling 250,000 miles to the moon, and then illuminating a sliver of the lunar surface just enough for the camera to pick it up. And here is the cool part. Earth is not visible anywhere in this particular frame. It is off to the side, out of shot. But because Earthshine is illuminating the left side of the moon, you can actually figure out roughly where Earth is. It is like seeing someone's shadow and knowing which direction they are standing without ever seeing them directly. The photo is hiding a second world in it that you can only detect by understanding the light. If that does not make you appreciate what is happening in a single photograph, I do not know what will. Number 3, the photograph Apollo could not take, even if they had tried. There is an image from earlier in the mission, before the flyby, called Hello World. It shows the complete disk of Earth at night, not lit by the sun, but lit by moonlight. You can see city lights glittering across Africa, auroral bands wrapping around both poles, and this eerie, ghostly illumination across the planet. Commander Reed Wiseman shot this on a Nikon D5 at ISO 51200, and that number is the whole story. Apollo astronauts used Hasselblad cameras loaded with Kodak film that maxed out around ISO 160. That means Wiseman was capturing light at over 300 times the sensitivity Apollo had available. This kind of image, a full night-side Earth illuminated only by reflected moonlight, was physically impossible to photograph in the 1960s and the 1970s. The film simply could not gather enough photons. It would have come back as a black frame. Several Apollo missions photographed the full Earth from deep space, always in direct sunlight. This is the first time a human has captured a complete night-side Earth from beyond low orbit. Not because nobody wanted to before, because the technology to do it did not exist until recently. Every time someone says modern cameras are just incremental upgrades, show them this image. Number 4. The geology lesson hiding in the Earthset foreground. The Earthset photo is the one everyone's sharing. That muted blue crescent Earth sinking behind the cratered lunar horizon is breathtaking. But most people are looking at the Earth and ignoring the foreground entirely. Look at the crater dominating the lower portion of the frame. That's Ohm crater. And right in the middle of its flat floor, there are mountain peaks. Mountains. Inside a crater. That seems wrong until you understand how large impacts work. When a meteorite hits the moon hard enough, the surface does not just crumble, it liquefies. The rock momentarily behaves like a fluid, and the center splashes upward the same way a water droplet rebounds when you drop something into a glass. Then it freezes in place. Those peaks inside Ohm crater are literally 3.8 billion years old, a splash frozen in stone. This photo was taken at 6:41 p.m. Eastern Time, just 3 minutes before Orion passed behind the moon and lost contact with Earth for 40 minutes. It was a planned communications blackout because radio signals cannot pass through 2,000 miles of solid rock. For 40 minutes, those 4 people were more alone than any human beings have ever been. No phone calls, no telemetry, no mission control, just them, their cameras, and the far side of the moon. And the last thing they photographed before going silent was this: a geology textbook in the foreground with the entire human species setting behind it. Almost nobody is talking about the crater. Everyone is looking at the Earth. Number 5. The name that made a commander cry. In the close-up photos of the Orientale Basin, the nearly 600-mile-wide impact structure with those dramatic concentric rings, there are 2 small craters that the crew proposed naming during the flyby. One they are calling Integrity, after the Orion spacecraft's call sign. Standard stuff. The other is called Carol. Commander Reed Wiseman's wife Carol passed away from cancer in 2020. During the flyby, Wiseman and the crew shared an emotional message explaining that the Carol crater sits right on the boundary between the moon's near and far sides. That placement means that at certain points during the moon's orbit, you can see it from Earth. The crew specifically chose a crater that Wiseman's daughters could point a telescope at someday. The names still need formal approval from the International Astronomical Union. That process can take years. Apollo 8's crew proposed naming a peak Mount Marilyn in 1968, and it was not officially approved until 2017. But whether or not the paperwork goes through, that crater has a name now. The next time you see the close-up Orientale Basin photos being shared, zoom into the near-side boundary. Carol is there. Number 6. The jagged edge that rewrites how you picture the moon. Go back to the eclipse series. Find the frames where the sun is just starting to peek out from behind the moon at the end of totality. Look at the edge of the lunar disk where the sunlight is breaking through. It is not smooth. It is jagged, ragged, full of bumps, notches, and spikes. Those are mountains and crater rims silhouetted against the sun's light. They reveal something you know intellectually, but never really feel when you look at the moon from Earth. The surface is incredibly rugged. We are used to seeing the moon as a smooth, silvery disk in the night sky, but from 4,067 miles away during an eclipse, the topography announces itself along the edge like a mountain range turned sideways. This is the kind of detail you only get from the specific geometry of this flyby. The sun backlighting the moon's edge at precisely the right angle turns every ridge and peak into a visible silhouette. It is accidental art created by orbital mechanics. Number 7. The golden hour, but on the moon. The close-up shots of Vavilov crater and the surrounding terrain look dramatically different from the wider views of the same region. Deep black shadows cut across crater floors. Mountain peaks cast long, diagonal shadows that stretch for miles. Everything has this extreme, almost theatrical contrast between blinding bright surfaces and absolute darkness. That's because these areas were sitting right on the terminator line when the photos were taken. The terminator is the boundary between day and night on the Moon. It's the same principle photographers on Earth obsess over during the golden hour, that brief window at sunrise and sunset when the low sun angle creates long shadows and intense contrast. On Earth, golden hour lasts about 30 minutes. On the Moon, because it rotates so slowly, the terminator moves across the surface at roughly 10 miles per hour. So these craters were sitting in lunar golden hour, and the crew happened to be flying past at exactly the right moment to capture it. The crew also photographed the Pole Aitken Basin from this vantage point, the largest and oldest confirmed impact basin in the entire solar system at about 1,550 miles across. That region is near where Artemis II is planning to land astronauts in the coming years. So these aren't just beautiful photos, they're reconnaissance. Every shadow tells scientists something about the terrain that future astronauts will need to navigate. Every landscape photographer on Earth would trade a year of their lives for this lighting. The Artemis II crew got it from a window seat 4,067 miles up. Some of the crew's photos were taken on iPhone 17 Pro Max smartphones, the first smartphones to ever leave Earth orbit. The images do not have the same resolution as the Nikon D5 shots, but they went viral for a different reason. People could not get over the fact that the same device they used to photograph their lunch was now taking pictures of the far side of the Moon from deep space. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman saw the full image batch. He called them absolutely stunning, and then added, "This is not AI." In 2026, that might be the highest compliment a photograph can receive. We are still only seeing a fraction of what the crew captured. Thousands of photographs and hours of 4K video are still stored aboard the Orion spacecraft, which splashes down on April 10th off San Diego. What has been released so far came through the 020 laser communications link, which can push data at up to 260 megabits per second, but has to prioritize mission health telemetry over pretty pictures. The full archive is coming. Based on the handful we have already seen, the stuff still on that capsule might include photos that end up in textbooks. If you want to see those when they drop, subscribe. I will be breaking down every new batch the same way, zooming into the details that everyone else scrolls past. Thanks for watching. I will see you on the next one.